Hello friends, and welcome to Top of the Stack MTG. Tonight I have two deck techs for you. I'm going to do one per video so that they're not too long, because I want to try to keep the video short. I certainly could work on that. So this is going to be part one for tonight, and this is vehicles. This is a super fun deck, and it's also super affordable. It's excellent. The deck itself is going to cost about 17 bucks. And then I'll have, if you want to do the sideboard as well, it's going to be about $24, but $17 for the deck. Excellent price, and it's great. So let's get underway with this. First off, we've got 4 Speedway Fanatics. Great card. It's a pilot, of course. And you guys are going to know, you probably already know, that I'm very strict about sticking to themes. So this is going to be a vehicle deck. I'm not talking about like Mardu vehicles where they have one vehicle, which is crazy. We all know that decks that win Pro Tours are probably 4-color good stuff or 3-color good stuff most of the time. And I don't want to do that. I want to stick to a specific theme. Good, so Speedway Fanatic, he's got haste. Whenever Speedway Fanatic crews a vehicle, that vehicle gains haste until the end of the turn. Great. Veteran Motorist, when it enters the battlefield, you can scry 2. When it crews a vehicle, that vehicle gets +1/+1 till the end of the turn. Excellent. Depala, other dwarfs get +1/+1. Other vehicles get +1/+1. And this is interesting. Whenever Depala, Pilot Exemplar, becomes tapped, you may pay X. If you do, reveal the top X cards of your library, put all dwarf and vehicle cards from among them into your hand, then put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Now, everything here, except for Speedway Fanatic, which is a human, everything here is dwarf or vehicle. So that's actually very effective in this deck. Oh, there's a couple. Here's an enchantment. And here's a sorcery. So we do have enchantment, sorcery, human. But the other cards are all dwarf and vehicle. It's a huge amount. So this will be effective for you. It's very cool. The final creature is Renegade Wheelsmith. Renegade Wheelsmith becomes tapped. Target creature can't block. So great. Anytime you crew a vehicle with this creature, you get to choose somebody who can't block you. Excellent. Now on to the vehicles. Aethersphere Harvester. When Aethersphere Harvester enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy. Energy is not a thing for this deck, but of course Aethersphere Harvester uses it, so you'll get a little benefit from that. Pay 1 energy. Aethersphere Harvester gains lifelink until the end of the turn. And crew 1. Great. It's a flying vehicle. So that's excellent. It's a popular vehicle. It's good. Fleetwood Cruiser. This is my favorite vehicle of all of them. Trample, haste. When Fleetwood Cruiser enters the battlefield, it becomes an artifact creature until the end of the turn. Crew 2. So the first time, you don't have to crew it. It's already a creature. And then after that, you'll need to crew it. But it's great. Great. And then we've got Untethered Express. Trample. Whenever Untethered Express attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. And a crew of 1, which is great. Sovereign Consul Flagship. Flying. Whenever Sovereign Council Flagship enters the battlefield or attacks, it deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker and opponent controls. Crew 3. This is the hardest one to crew, but it's also arguably the best one because it's got removal built into it every time you play it or attack. Yeah, it deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Just excellent. So that, oh no. There is also the Siege Modification. This is the enchantment I was telling you about. Enchant creature or vehicle. As long as enchanted permanent is a vehicle, it's a creature in addition to its other types. And it gains +3/+0 and has first strike. So it's excellent for vehicles, because now suddenly you don't have to crew them. You don't have to tap one of your creatures in order to use the vehicle as a creature. It's automatically a creature. But the thing that I really love about it is, if you're in a position where you only have pilots out, you don't have any vehicles for some weird reason, you can attach this to a pilot as well, and they'll get +3/+0 and first strike. It's excellent. Also, start your engines. Sorcery. Vehicles you control become artifact creatures until the end of the turn. Creatures you control get +2/+0 until the end of the turn. That, of course, includes your pilots and your vehicles. So, start your engines is excellent for just swinging in for the win. Out of nowhere, it's a total surprise. Because if you have 3 creatures and 3 vehicles, then you really only have 3 attacking creatures, because you need to tap your creatures to crew the vehicles so that they can attack. But with this, out of nowhere, you have 6 attacking creatures. It's just great. Excellent. Okay, so that is the deck. I'm trying to go fast. Now let's talk about lands. If you do 10 plains and 10 mountains and 4 evolving wilds, then, as I said, this is a $17 deck. It's excellent. Evolving Wilds is a little bit slow, but there's nothing wrong with it. The crazy thing is, if you want to use Inspiring Vantage, then the cost goes up to $35.75. Literally, 4 Inspiring Vantages are more expensive than the entire deck. So if you've got the money, of course Inspiring Vantage is better fixing than Evolving Wilds. Or maybe you want to use both. Maybe you want Evolving Wilds and Inspiring Vantage. It's entirely up to you. But Inspiring Vantage, compared to the price of the deck, is pretty expensive. Now, let's go on to the sideboard. So we've got, it was important to me that nothing in this deck rotated once we hit rotation in the fall. It's coming up. Cards are going to rotate out. I wanted to make sure not to use any cards that rotate out. And it's easy doing vehicles because, of course, they were only in Kaladesh and Aether Revolt. So they're not going to rotate out. But on to the sideboard. Blazing Volley. So none of these cards are going to rotate either. Blazing Volley deals 1 damage to each creature your opponent controls. This is excellent against any kind of aggro deck, anything that's trying to go fast. 2-ticket red or whatever that deck is called. Any kind of deck. If they're playing goblins or they're playing just straight red deck wins. Anything like that. Forsake the Worldly. Exile target artifact or enchantment. I chose this specifically as artifact removal because it also deals with enchantments. It's more versatile. It will only kill 1 artifact, and that is restricting, right, as opposed to Release the Gremlins or something. But personally, I picked this because it also deals with enchantments. Cast Out is an excellent card. This is the card that made the sideboard more expensive. The sideboard is $6.50, by the way. So if you want to do the sideboard in the deck, it's going to be like $23.50. Oh, and if you want to do the lands, it's going to be like $42 or something like that. But Cast Out, Flash. When Cast Out enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls until Cast Out leaves the battlefield. Now, this is an enchantment. So back to Forsake the Worldly. Forsake the Worldly gets rid of this. So if somebody plays Cast Out on one of your creatures or vehicles or whatever, you can grab that back again. Good. Gideon's Intervention. As Gideon's Intervention enters the battlefield, choose a card name. Your opponent can't cast spells with the chosen name. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to you and permanents you control by sources with the chosen name. This is great against really specific combo decks. You can get rid of just 1 card and maybe cripple the whole deck, depending upon how combo heavy it is. Good, so that's the whole deck. There's a couple other cards I need to talk about. Number 1 is Heart of Kiran. Heart of Koran is an excellent vehicle. I did not choose it for this deck because there are no planeswalkers in this deck. And part of the power of the Heart is you may remove a loyalty counter from a planeswalker you control rather than pay Heart of Koran's crew cost. So literally, planeswalkers can crew this vehicle. That's a neat power. And when you combine it with Gideon, then this becomes an excellent piece of Mardu vehicles. Except this is the only vehicle in Mardu vehicles because it's really Mardu good stuff. But I believe that is kind of the main reason this vehicle is so successful. It's a crew 3. It's a 4/4 flyer with vigilance. It's pretty dang good. It doesn't have the life link, but it's still pretty dang good. But it's also super expensive. They're $15 each. So I left it out of this because there's no planeswalkers and it's really expensive. So you can decide if you want to tweak something and put this in. It is a good vehicle. I just don't think it's perfect for this. Also, Smuggler's Copter. Smuggler's Copter is an amazing vehicle. It's so good that they banned it in Standard. So you can play this deck in Frontier if you would like, and there's no ban list for Frontier because it's not officially supported yet. But you can play this in Frontier and use Smuggler's Copter if you'd like. It's an amazing vehicle and does very well in a vehicles deck. If you do go the route of Frontier, make sure to look at Battlefield Forge as well, because that's an amazing land that will really help you mana fix. It's much better than Inspiring Vantage, and it's a lot more affordable because Frontier isn't really a supported thing yet. So, good. Talked about those. Anything else that I need to cover? This was super fast. This is great. Be careful when you're crewing vehicles. There was a big kind of hubbub at one of the Pro Tours because somebody went to crew a vehicle. You can crew vehicles in your main phase or at the beginning of combat. Now, a person said, I'd like to move to combat, which is generally accepted as a shortcut to I want to declare attackers, not I want to go to the beginning of combat. So then they tried to crew their vehicles and the judge was called over and it was a big mess. So my personal advice to you is crew your vehicle in your main phase. Anything that they could do in your beginning of combat, they can do in the main phase. It's not, unless you're going to play at the Pro Tour, there's going to be no difference. Just do it in your main phase. But know that you are allowed to do it at the beginning of combat as long as you do it correctly, as long as you know how, which I wouldn't even want to get into that. Good. That is everything. I hope you guys enjoy this deck. It's super fun. It's pretty competitive. It's actually pretty cool. If you use your sideboard well and maybe do a little couple tweaks on your own that you think of, this could be an amazing deck and it's very affordable. I hope you have a great time with it and I hope you have a great night and stay tuned for part 2.